Welcome to today's Warhammer 40k podcast with the amazing 6+ Stevo. It's coming right up.
Necrons!
Okay.
Smooth, one take.
I like your reaction there, that was good. Nick speaking, and welcome to this podcast. Right, today I have a very special guest for you. We have Mr. 6+ Stevo. Hello, Stevo. How are you?
Hey, I'm good, thanks, mate. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's awesome to have you on, Stevo. Obviously, we've met a few times and played a few games in person, but I couldn't wait to get you on the show because, well, I always enjoy finding out more about you. And, of course, we've got some awesome questions today for you. We've got some hobby questions. We've got some questions about your channel. We've got some gaming-type questions. Are you looking forward to this?
I am, mate. I am. I kind of invited myself, really. I saw your first one, and I'm like, right, get me on there. When can I be on?
You were always on my list to come on, so I'm glad you wanted to come on. Okay, now, of course, 6+ Stevo has a YouTube channel. It is called 6+ Stevo, funny enough. It's linked in the description below and the pinned comment. Of course, head on over, check it out, give him a sub, an awesome channel, especially if you like orcs. That's right, Stevo, isn't it?
It is, yeah. If you like orcs, come on over, come and check it out. There's lots of good stuff.
Excellent. Okay, well, here we go. Let's get onto the questions and find out a little bit more about you. So, how did you get into this awesome hobby of ours?
Into the hobby itself, well, started a long time ago, back when I was but a wee nipper, a wee snotling, and I think my first foray into the hobby would have been Hero Quest.
Okay.
And living with my dad, growing up, we used to go to friends of his, and we used to play like family sort of board game nights, and it would always be the usual Monopoly and Cluedo, Game of Life, Trivial Pursuit, and but every now and again it was Hero Quest, and yeah, I fell in love. Absolutely fell in love. I was already a big fan of like The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and just that whole fantasy sort of setting and stuff. And then to have played this game, and I always played as a dwarf, and it was just wow. I was enthralled. And then a little bit later on, I think it was for a birthday or possibly Christmas, my dad bought me Space Crusade.
Okay,
and wow, that was a game changer, because I was a huge fan of the Aliens movie. Like Aliens as a kid, I loved that movie, the Marines and all the guns and everything, and it was just incredible. And again, this was a game where I was effectively playing out that movie in my mind as a child anyway. And it was my introduction into 40k. It had the orcs, it had the Gene Stealers, it had 3 chapters of Space Marines, Chaos Androids, which I know you know a thing or two about.
I do. I love hearing these like stories because I got into the hobby really late, and I was 30 when I got into the hobby.
Right.
And it was literally 40k that I got into 3rd edition. Before that, I knew nothing about wargaming and all these miniatures and stuff. So yeah, to hear like talking about Hero Quest and stuff. I mean, I do actually have a copy of Hero Quest and also Space Crusade, although some of the models are missing. But they're sort of charity shop things that I found,
Yeah.
So yeah, hearing stories of people who got into the hobby through those games is always interesting to me. Yeah, absolutely.
There's so much talk these days about bringing in new players and attracting new people, to the hobby, and they've done that, through computer games and movies and things. But I can't remember a time when 40k was more mass market and more mainstream and accepted than during that period of Hero Quest and Space Crusade. So many people in that era got into it through that, and there were aunts and mums and nans and sisters and, you know, brothers and dads and people that would never be into that sort of thing who would happily sit down at a table and play a game of Hero Quest or Space Crusade. So it really was.
One would have been Space Hulk as well.
Yeah, Space Hulk, definitely. Space Hulk. I never got to play Space Hulk. As a youngster, I looked at it and I'm like, well, it doesn't look as good because it's just Gene Stealers. Whereas in Space Crusade, you got everything. But looking at it now, obviously, it's a you know, a timeless game and an incredible game. But yeah, that was Space Crusade was really my introduction. It introduced me to all these different factions of 40k and that. And then later on, much like yourself, I got into the game of 40k properly. I attempted it 2nd edition, but I was too young. And I sort of thought it was the same kind of thing as Hero Quest and Space Crusade, but then found that, wow, this is a lot more complex. And no one was really prepared to teach me the rules and things. So I got the set, but I ended up just kind of setting them up, dreaming of what could be and playing with them and doing things. But yeah, I was much the same as yourself. I got into 40k properly I was in my 20s. And that's when I properly got into 40k through 3rd edition. That was truly my first start into 40k.
Yeah. Okay, well that actually brings us quite nicely onto the next question. So I believe you started not with orcs, but with Necrons. Is that correct? What armies have you had over the years? What do you own at the moment, and what armies have you had over the years? Is the question.
Okay, I'll start with the first. What I own at the moment is orcs. Duh.
Of course.
And I have a very small starting Space Marine army. Right. And that is it. That is all I have. I have a smattering of the odd few model. I've got some things for other games. I've got a little small BattleTech force for when I go and play Scar. And I've got a Goblin Blood Bowl team, which I'm about to start work on. But yeah, in terms of 40k, it's just a modest painted army and a large unpainted army and a really large on the sprue army of orcs. And then I've just started a first company custom chapter of Space Marines, which I haven't started painting yet. I've literally just built them like a week or two ago from the Leviathan set.
Yeah, yes, of course, yeah.
But yeah, in answer to the other question, what armies I've had over the years, my first proper army that I always say is my first army because it was painted, would be my Necron army that I started in 3rd edition and played through 3rd and 4th and 5th edition. That got quite big, and I wish I still had photographs of it, at least, if not the actual army itself, because I was really proud of the paint job on that army. And, you know, I loved that Necron army. I really did. But before then, even, I had obviously Space Marines and Orcs from the 2nd edition set. I'd made a start on Catachans because I really wanted to do them. And then very quickly, the realization of what was ahead of me put me off. And then Necrons came out, and I'm like, oh, they're so cool. And I went with them, and I was like, I was able to get them painted and get them on the table a lot easier. Because Imperial Guard at the time, you had to do a troop choice, wasn't just one squad like it was of every other army. It was a platoon. Yeah. So you had to have a command squad. And then I was like, so I've got to have 25 miniatures minimum for one squad. And I've got to have 2. So I've got to have 50 just to fulfill my troops. I'm like, I can't afford or have the time to do that. So yeah, I went.
And he's painting all those skin faces as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Like, if I had unlimited time and resources and money, I would love to do it still to this day because I think they're a really cool faction. But yeah, later on with the Necrons, I expanded. I went from Necrons into Chaos. I had a Chaos Black Legion. What was the special codex with the Lost and the Damned? It was the same one that the Wolfen were in, I think. Was it the Armageddon thing?
Eye of Terror.
Eye of Terror, that's it, the Eye of Terror. So I started doing a Lost and the Damned, so I had loads of custom mutants and traitors and stuff, and that was really good fun. And then I had Tyranids and Orcs again, so this is actually my 3rd Orc army. Because I did it back then.
You've got a lot of armies over the years.
I have.
But you only really have one, basically, now.
Yeah, Just got the one.
Yeah.
Focusing on that. I've been drawn away. I did actually start collecting Necrons again, actually, when they came out with Forgebane, but I since sold them off because I was like, I'm never going to do these. Let's do it. And your channel's about orcs. You focus on your orcs. If
Never
you get
say never when it comes to Necrons.
Never say never. Don't go. They've turned my head a few times, and they will continue to, along with many other factions.
So how often do you actually get to like hobby and also like to play?
Not as often as I would like. I probably get, I would say on average, probably one game a month if I'm lucky, and that's probably being a bit generous to it. But then I'll have a few games in a month out of the blue. So I think over balancing out, probably about average. 1 game a month. Yeah. Hobby lately has been very minimal, because of other life commitments, work, family, all of that going on. And the channel itself, weirdly, the channel gets in the way of hobby because if I do have a bit of this is all done in my free time, me time.
Yeah.
And so if I do get a bit of time, I tend to put it more towards the channel than the hobby. Sometimes I can combine those, but the little bit of free time I've had has been more spent on the channel rather than the hobby itself, and gaming and stuff and that as well. It's tough because as a content, what do they call them? Content creator.
Yeah.
Content creator. People I think expect me to have this huge painted collection and stuff, and that's just not the case. It's just not. I'm no different to anyone watching it. I'm no different to you at home watching this. Because I do this YouTube thing, I'm no better than anyone else or anything. So I probably have a smaller painted army than most people out there, to be honest. But don't get as much time as I would like.
I'm the same, really. I've got I'm doing my Wargaming exclusive Death Marks conversion things. And I'm halfway painting them, and I just had a look. The last time I painted them was like 10 days ago, and it's like, well, what have I been doing? But I've been literally like concentrating on making videos and stuff, like doing this stream. If I wasn't doing this, I probably would be painting them. So
of course.
It does take more time, doesn't it? But it's all good fun. It is all good fun. So now I know you've done a recent Q&A on your channel. You've probably already answered this on your channel. Well, I know you have, because I actually asked you the question, but I'm going to ask you again on my channel. So what is your best wargaming story?
It's a great question. I'll be honest, I can't remember what the answers were. Oh yeah, it was about Bob, wasn't it? I said Bob. Bob. Anytime Bob does something, that's a great moment. I don't know. I don't know if I can give a really interesting answer. It would be quite a boring answer because I can't pinpoint one thing really. I guess when the War Bosses on my other channel, the collaboration channel, I did the boss, when we did our first big battle, that's always going to stand out for me as a great memory because it was a big game. We had a lot of drinking and we were all in high spirits, high energy, and it was just fun. It was playing with like-minded people that wanted the same thing from the game as me. We just wanted to display a cool big orc battle of 3-on-3 and just have carnage. And it was a custom mission. We each had our own custom secondary mission, which made the game really fun. So like me and Dread are very competitive with each other. So our secondary missions, although we were on the same side, we were still competing. I had to destroy something bigger than him that turn to get mine. And he had to destroy more units than me in that turn to get his secondary point. So we could both achieve them, but we were both competing with each other. And then Dim, being the Grot Rebels, he had a custom mission to turn enemy grots on his side, and he had a custom stratagem that he could spend a CP on to bribe them rather than just roll the dice. And we had lots of, all six of us had our own custom. I think Sid, the drunken orc, he had his custom mission was called the Drunken Charge. So he had to like destroy something on the turn or cause so many wounds on the turn he charged a unit in and things like that. So we just made it things that fit our characters, fit our personality, fit our armies, and just went with that. And it just made for a really, really fun game. But yeah, over the years, it's been loads.
Obviously, we've all got loads and loads of wargaming stories. I'm actually trying to share a wargaming story of mine in each of these podcasts. So
nice, yeah.
Enough. So today I'm going to share one, an old one from back in 4th edition. We were playing a custom mission from the back of the book called Sabotage. And this was where you had like a bunker in the middle, and you had a defender. And the defender had what they did back then was called sentries. Yeah. And each army had different amount of sentries. The Necrons, I think, had like 4 warriors. My buddy was playing Blood Angels. He was the defender. And what I had to do was get onto the board, and I had to destroy the bunker. Okay, but he couldn't start reacting until I either shot him or I came within an X amount of inches of him.
Right.
Okay. So he sets up, and I notice he's left a tiny little hole around the bunker. So I very stealthily walk up the board. I don't shoot him. I get all the way to in range. He rolls the dice to see if basically he reacts, and he doesn't react. And I go onto the bunker and destroy it without him doing anything. The game took about 5 minutes. So we reset up, and he deployed without leaving a hole in the bunker, and we had another game. But I'll always remember that. I won without my buddy having a go.
Pure stealth at work there.
Yeah. I love those 4th edition missions. So much fun they were. Really.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, just you describing that, it's just it's a completely different sort of experiences to now, isn't it? That you've got to sort of sneak in, and they have a chance to sort of see if they detect and react, and very cool.
Exactly. So, do you have any plans for a new army? I know you mentioned about the Space Marines. Are you going to expand that?
Yes. So I got this is the Space Marines from Leviathan. So I currently have the Ballistus Dreadnought, 2 squads of Terminators, and a Terminator Librarian and a Terminator Captain. What I want to add to that force is a Terminator Chaplain, more Terminators, and more Redemptor Dreads. I basically want at least one of each of the Dreads. I want the Brutalis and the Redemptor Dreadnought, so I've got one of each of the...
And basically you want a Dread Mob with Space Marines.
An Umi Dread Mob is essentially what I'm doing. Yeah, it's just going to be exclusively Terminators and Dreadnoughts and nothing else. And I won't make it a big army. It won't continue. It won't be like my Orcs where it continues to grow. I will take it to a point and then stop. And that will just be my army. And I'll probably just have 3 squads of Terminators, all commanded, with a character in each, and some Dreadnoughts to back them up. And it will just be my custom chapter, and it will just be a fun army to bring out every now and again and have some fun with. Because I did it just because I absolutely adore those new Terminator sculpts. I think they're stunning.
How good, aren't they? Yeah. So would you have like 1,000 points?
Yeah, I think around that. I'm not really sure on the points of. I haven't even looked into. No. I haven't looked into the army, what I can have and stuff, so I've not even delved that far yet in terms of points. I just kind of know visually what I want it to be, and I'll go from there and tweak the list, and it'll just be a fun list. It'll probably be crap in game, but who cares?
Exactly, yeah. Okay, well, it's great finding out about your hobby. We are now going to move on to the next segment, and we're going to talk about your channel. As I said earlier, you've got your own channel. A link to it in the description below. Make sure you check it out, especially if you love orcs. So, how long have you been on YouTube for, and what inspired you to actually start your YouTube channel?
Well, you inspired me, Nick. We'll say that straight away. You inspired me, yes. In terms of what started it, I think I'd thought about it and thought about ways to, even before YouTube really, thought about me and friends used to talk about doing battle reports. We were like, we could take photos and then digitally put them up on the forums and make a battle report and things, and we never did, but I had ideas about things like that and used to get involved in the forums a bit. But yeah, seeing your channel, you used to do the videos where you would recommend 3 new people that you had discovered through YouTube, and you'd say, I've got this month my 3 channels I'd recommend. And you also used to give sort of little tips and things about getting started on YouTube and stuff, and it was just really, really useful information. And so yeah, I'd reached out to you, and you got in touch, and you told me that you were starting up the unification group, and I got involved with that. And yeah, did my first video showing off my tank buster conversions, and had, you know, a couple of subscribers, the missus, maybe a friend, and then you know, put it up and shared it in the unification group, and the community was incredible. And yeah, I very quickly shot up to like 100 subscribers, and the views and comments are coming in. There were positive feedback and encouragement, and you know, and good constructive criticism. And yeah, I was off and away, and I just got the bug, and that was it. There was no looking back from there. But that was over 6 years ago now. So my channel is 6+ years old. Now. Yeah, I think it's probably nearer 7 years old now. But I looked recently, and my first video, it says on there, you know, uploaded, I think February. I can't remember the year to do the maths in my head, but it's basically, yeah, when we get to next February, my channel will be 7 years old. So yeah, it's officially 6+ years old.
That must be 2018 then, I suppose.
I believe so. Yeah. Yes, I believe so.
And how would you say is the channel doing at the moment? How many subs have you got?
Approximately 6.2k. So the channel, it's a big year of celebrations this year, because 6+ Stevo is 6+ years old and has 6+ subscribers. I am planning to do a celebration video shortly, soon. Watch this space.
Excellent. So it's obviously, yeah, going well. What sort of videos are you uploading at the moment?
All sorts. I've been doing a big sort of bread and butter of the channel over the last couple of years has been the tactics videos, looking at each data card individually, and just a very easy to put together videos. I literally stick a card on my chair that I'm currently sitting on, and I film it. I don't know why I started with the chair. It was just convenient at the time, and so I just stuck with it. And I just talk over the data card and sort of give a review and a tactics and how you could use it and things, and just, it's not deep dive meta stuff. It's just a general overview of like what's good, what I think is good, what I think isn't, and what you could do with it, and what, you know, especially with units and characters, like, what character could you plug into this unit to get the most out of it? What detachments would work well with it? But yeah, I've been doing them. I still show off regularly, like any kit bashes and conversions I've done. I do a playlist recently as well called Things I Like, which if I just, every now and again, I'll see something in the 40k Orc community or other groups, and someone will have shared their conversions, and I think, that's really cool. I want to, and so I reach out to them and say, would you mind me sharing this on a video? And they're always really excited and pleased that the stuff's being shown off on YouTube. So I just love to gush over other people's miniatures and stuff, you know. But yeah, all sorts really. Just I cover a bit of all sorts.
And I believe you've just recently uploaded a new battle report.
I have. If everything's gone according to plan at the time of you seeing this, I will have uploaded a battle report. Because yes, battle reports, I do those as well. Yes, a very important battle report.
A very important one.
A doubles bat rep. We're featuring both of us.
For those that don't know, and why you don't know, I have no idea, because we've been plugging it so much.
We've been plugging it hard enough. You should know. Everyone should know.
Yeah, I teamed up with Planet 40k. Stevo teamed up with Wargaming. We got together. We had a 3,000 point game, Necrons versus Orcs. So much fun. And yeah, that battle report should be up right now on Stevo's channel, so check it out if you haven't.
I don't know if we should give spoilers if the people that want to go and watch it now. You know, I don't know.
I think no spoilers. Yeah.
Go and watch it.
Absolutely. So next up then, what have we got? What would you say you enjoy the most about your channel?
I just being myself. Just being able to, because I do my channel and I have done, we've closed the doors on it recently, but our collaboration channel, which I also love, and that. But I think one of the greatest things about doing your own channel is just being able to share your thoughts, your views, your things, and then so I love that freedom. In life generally, you know, when you work and stuff, you have to kind of be a version of yourself and hold things back, and just to operate in society, I guess, just to, you know. But it's lovely, just it's so nice just to be able to share something I'm so passionate about and interested in, and I have my opinions on things and my views on things, whether it be the direction of the game or a miniature or whatever. And it's such a privilege to be able to turn a camera on, share your thoughts on it, and then upload it to the community, and then getting in, you know, discussions and stuff going. So I love that aspect of it. And I just, if I'm being totally honest and transparent, I love showing off. Bad mood, like showing off. And so when I've finished painting something and I'm proud of it, to show it off to the community and then get that feedback and that encouragement and, you know, 99% positive feedback is great. And even the negative feedback is useful. Like constructive criticism is great. I welcome it. So, you know, yeah, absolutely. I love it. So I can't even remember what the question was now. But
that's right. I think that is one of the big things. I remember I bought the Forge World avatar because when I was doing my Eldar army, awesome miniature, and I bought the one with the spear. Everyone else was buying the one with the sword, but I just really like that spear one, even though it makes no sense because the spear was 12 inches. That's all it was, 12-inch target. But it had this massive spear, but I liked the miniature, so I bought that. And I went to town on it, doing all those like flames. It was the first time I'd really done like what I would call like high-end painting, and it took me 40 hours to paint that miniature. I showed it to my wife at the time. She went, "Oh yeah, that's nice." But thanks. It's like, but when you share it, obviously on your YouTube channel or your blog or Facebook groups or whatever, you know, just getting that appreciation for other people that know what goes into something, you know. So,
for sure. Thing. Yeah, that's a great point actually. Yeah, I mean, in terms of my channel and my miniatures and stuff, friends and family and things, they've very little interest. You know, they're supportive, but they don't really care.
They don't get it. Yeah, they don't get it. Yeah,
you know, It's nice now. I've got the display cabinet behind me though, and I can put some, because when people do come over, the normies, they do. I think they stop and admire them, and they ask questions about them. So they do have a passing interest, but I'm very careful not to sort of go off and bore them, you know, which is great. The channel, it gives me that reason to just spill out all this verbal diarrhea on this stuff that I would bore someone down the pub with, or, you know, at work, they'd be like, all right, I just don't care.
Yeah, I do catch myself at work sometimes talking too much about it, and then actually you're bored, aren't you? Like,
yeah, that's it. You got to have a little bit of self-awareness on that, haven't you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So do you have any goals for the channel, like long-term goals or immediate goals?
In terms of the long-term goal, I kind of already achieved. The long-term goal, in terms of sort of like in a business sense, was I never had any ideas or grand ambitions of being like, I'm gonna do this full time and I'm gonna make millions and do it, because that's not going to happen. But I thought, if I can get to a stage where it kind of funds the hobby, if I can make enough money through ad revenue and things just to be able to buy myself the occasional kit and buy some paints or buy a new camera or whatever, if it just funds itself, and I've kind of reached that point really, and it takes the guilt out if I spend money on the hobby from like wages and things, and we're currently saving up or having to pay bills, you feel guilty about spending money on frivolous purchases just for yourself. So any money I make through the channel, I can sort of feel like I can spend guilt-free on miniatures and stuff. So I kind of reached that point, just about. It probably doesn't really fully fund the hobby because you don't make huge amounts, but it's nice. But Yeah, but that wasn't the reason why I did the channel. It's well, I mean, it was in part. It was in part, actually. It was in part to sort of try and make a bit of money out of doing this, thing. But yeah, the main reason was just to share the passions and let out that, be creative and do things with the channel and try and, I guess my ambition now is to promote what I think over the last few years has not been promoted enough on YouTube, is this whole other side of the hobby. So I guess my ambition for the channel is to do more of that, alongside just getting a lot better at doing what I do. I want to up the production values. I want to do content that is entertaining and informative. And I really want to do something and appeals to an audience that I believe is out there, but I think is being under-catered for in this current market, this current climate of the game as it is and stuff. So I really want to champion, the use of Legends units. I want to champion the use of homebrew rules. I want to champion building fluffy lists, building a themed list, building stories for your army, writing lore for your armies. And I really want to champion that massively underserved part of the hobby, which is so much more important than anyone is, or a lot of people are currently giving it credit for. It shouldn't be a sideline secondary part of the hobby. It should be front and center, in my opinion. And the internet will have you believe that it's not. But in talking to everyone in the community and stuff, it's not the case. It's not the case. I think the loudest part of the community is very much tournament meta, tournament lists, tier lists, and this, and that's not the majority of people out there. I don't believe there's a silent majority that are like, we want our stories, we want our lore, we want fun games where we can just roll some dice and have a laugh.
I find myself right in the middle of this line.
I kind of am too, to be fair.
Right, yeah.
In a way.
But you sort of you love the old school side of what the game used to be.
Yeah.
But also there's this. Well, I do like playing this competitive side as well, and I like to have that nice mixture.
Yeah.
And if I can get a mixture of that, then that works really well for me. But yeah, if I'm only playing competitive side, then you can get a bit bored of it, or it can become quite samey or a bit more intense, when you're list building. But on the other side of the coin, if I was only playing custom stuff, I think I would be missing out on the current what's happening currently. So a nice mixture, I think, is quite good.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I'm kind of in agreement with that as well. I do like playing a really tough game sometimes, and I do like to challenge myself. And even when I play custom rules, homebrew rules, stuff, don't get me wrong, I'm still trying to win. I still really trying to win, because I've played people before that literally they just don't care, and that takes it a little bit far for me. I kind of find that a bit insulting.
I can't do that. I can't play and not try to win.
No, of course you got to try and win.
I've got the worst list in the world. I will try my absolute best to try to win with it.
Yeah,
but it's a different fun than having right. I've got this really competitive list. 6 Catans. I've got to win this game. I'm making a battle report on it. I don't want to be seen losing.
I get seen losing all the time, mate. Don't worry about it. And then I've got the nerve to do a whole playlist of tactics videos, and then they see me get my ass handed to me every battle report.
Yeah, I probably enjoy that the most, and I think that's where I found my own little niche almost. I remember in the days I did my Necron learning curve. I think it was 6th edition, and I did a video about the flayed ones. And in that video, I said how bad they were, basically.
Yeah.
And after I'd made the video, I thought they are really bad, but can I make them work? And then I came up with this whole concept of having 60 flayed ones.
I remember it.
And a list around it, and trying to make it work. And I really enjoyed that. I think I get that from my inspiration for YouTube, and that's from Wargamer Fritz, because he doesn't really do it so much now for 40k, but back in 5th edition and 6th edition, it was always tactics, but from a different angle.
Yeah.
Like
I remember his videos.
Yeah,
were good,
out of the box tactics. That's what I like.
Yeah, he had a good style as well. Very laid back. Just put the camera on and just started chatting about a particular aspect of some sort of tactic or unit or something. And it was he did good videos. He did. Yeah,
absolutely. So where are we? You sort of half mentioned this, but do you have any exciting video ideas or something that you've got for the channel coming up?
Yes, loads of exciting ideas. I've got obviously I'm going to do a celebration video soon to celebrate 6+ subscribers, 6+ years. I'd be a fool not to do that. I've got some sponsors and some prizes, so awesome. That'll be good. It's always good to give something back to the people that made you what you are, because without the viewers you're nothing. There's a video I recorded about 2 years ago and started editing it, and halfway through editing it I was like, this is crap, this is not, I haven't done this justice, but I'm coming back to it shortly. Don't know how long it's going to take, because I'm already piling the pressure on, because it's important to me, but I think it's important to the community as well. In a video all about the spirit of the game and how that's changed over the years, and it refers back to an old article, funnily enough, called Spirit of the Game from an old White Dwarf, which coincidentally happened to be in my very first issue of White Dwarf, which is also another video I am intending to do, my first issue of White Dwarf. And then in rereading this issue and buying it on eBay, finding the one on eBay and buying it again, found that the article was in the first issue. So this combines in. So I've got 2 videos out of this one issue. It's so important in making me the sort of gamer and hobbyist that I am, because I read this article and I took it to heart. This was kind of the first thing, and it was like advice from people in the industry and the gaming and that about how the right way to play the game is, and the right way to build your lists, and the right spirit and stuff. And it flies in the face of so much of what you're told to do today. And I think it's really important to bring this to the attention of people that would have possibly never heard it, and just to hear a different way of doing things and a much more fulfilling way to experience this hobby that is touching on so many more things rather than just trying to win.
I don't know if it's in the 10th edition rulebook or not, because I've not really looked all the way through it, to be fair. But do you remember the old editions? It always had a little box right at the beginning. The number 1 rule of this game is basically to make sure you have fun. 100%. I don't know whether that text is actually in the rulebook. Hopefully it is.
I'll be honest with you, I haven't looked. They've kind of kept that over all the editions, haven't they? So I'd be surprised if it wasn't in there. I've not looked deeply into that rule book.
It probably says now the number 1 rule of this game is to make it as even as possible.
Do as we tell you.
Everyone, I'm going to keep updating the rules so that it's as even as we can make it. Okay, well, it's great finding out more about your channel. I'm going to move on to the next set of questions. However, we are actually going to talk about channels, because the first question is, tell us more about your other channel that you're on, The War Bosses.
Right, the War Boss Show. So, it's it's closed. Essentially, we've loved doing it. Absolutely love doing it. There's still loads of great evergreen content on there, and to be honest, I say it's closed. We do still actually have a couple of battle reports still to go on there that were filmed quite a while ago, but have just taken a long time for various reasons to get on there. So there is still content to come out there, but we're not actively recording any new content currently.
How come?
We reached a point. Collaboration channels are tough. You've got 6 people there, all with different ideas of what they're interested in, what they want to focus on, what they're passionate about, what direction the channel should go in, and things. And if I'm being 100% honest, like with us, we kind of came to a bit of a realization that the quality of the content had kind of slipped a bit. and we just weren't really pleased with what we were putting out, and we were all pulling in slightly different directions. So we had a bit of a crisis meeting, and we were like, we think at the moment, until we get ourselves sorted out, we want to close the doors on it, most likely temporarily, and come back with a whole rebrand and refresh, and come back with something much better that we can truly be proud of and what we think the viewers deserve. Because I think if you're watching back your content and you're not proud of it, and you think, oh, we could have done better than that, then why would the audience like it? And so although our final video that we put out, I will say so myself, was bloody brilliant. So I'd actively encourage anyone to go and watch our final video, just summarising our War Boss League and stuff, because that was a very good watch. And yeah, Sid did some incredible editing on that as well, which really tied it all together in a
I've
really
seen that. Yeah, it is really good.
Yeah.
Because I'll link up the channel in the description below as well for people to check it out.
Lovely, thanks. But yeah, it will be back. It will be back. I can't say when, but it will be back. Bigger, better, badder than ever. So stay tuned.
Good. Sounds good. Okay, so going to get to the nitty gritty of this. What is your favourite edition of Warhammer 40k? Not 10th edition. Warhammer 40k. Yeah.
That could be a question these days. What is your favourite edition of 10th edition? Well, it'll be the Pariah Nexus update, I think. It's a tough question. I quite often cite 5th as my favourite edition. But you could pretty much interchange that with 3rd, 4th, 5th. Because that was really good time in my life in the hobby and everything, and I loved it. I think 3rd was brilliant and was one of the best introductions to 40k. You look at that. So I've got someone at the bloody door. Hold that thought.
Okay.
Don't they know what we're doing?
This is a bit of a running theme. Every time I do one of these podcasts, we always get interruptions. I'm just going to chill and drink my coffee.
Well, that's...
delivery.
It's funny, actually, that worked out quite well, because this is the prizes for my 6k giveaway just arrived. Excellent. So I believe that's what it is anyway. It looks like it, yes. So I'll open them later after we've done this. I can't remember, what was I saying? Yes, the editions. 3rd edition, I think, was one of the best editions for starting out in the game. You open that 3rd edition rulebook, and it gives you the most comprehensive, easy to grasp start into the game of how to. This is one Dark Elder, one main. Do this. This is your movement. This is your shooting. Now we do it to a squad, and it's just a fantastic rulebook that I think is probably the best rulebook in any edition ever. Plus, you had all the armies in the back as well, because it was like a whole refresh from 2nd. But 5th, I feel like it was refined. It wasn't perfect. No edition's been perfect. But I think 5th, through 3rd and 4th, it was essentially the same game, but they just kept refining it and tweaking it. And I think felt like 5th was the sweet spot. I really do. And then you had great things added in, like City Fight, Apocalypse, Combat Patrol, which in its best form then. And it was just fantastic. But also 8th edition, I really liked the whole refresh of 8th. When 8th first came out with the indexes and stuff, horribly balanced at first, those indexes, horribly balanced. The orcs were 35 points for a power claw. Are you mental? It was complete, but it needed it. 7th, the bloat was ridiculous, and from 6th and 7th, it was awful. Horrible formations. Just so much bad. So 8th was really refreshing, and it was the point where I got back into the hobby, really, just before 8th hit. In the build up to 8th, I was really keeping up to date with stuff. And but long answer, I'm sorry, but I'd guess I'd probably say 5th. I like 10th. I do like 10th edition. I think it's very nicely balanced. I think the data cards and the rules work quite well. I don't like the slant on the sort of push towards competitive, but I do think the game plays quite well now, and I think generally it's a good edition. I think it's better than 9th. 9th was a little bit kind of.
I've got some memories regarding 5th because when 5th came around, I was playing with a very old 3rd edition Necron Codex, and it was
same.
It was almost impossible to win it. It came to the point that I went for a draw rather than a win.
Right.
I played for a draw because obviously back in 5th as well, you only had 3 missions. There were just 3 missions to have. One was basically you had to capture your opponent's home objective, which always ended in a draw anyway, generally. I think the other one was 5 objectives, and then I can't remember, kill points I think was the other one. So you only had 3 missions. So the other side of the coin as well is I started my Eldar army in 5th edition, and going from Necrons and Space Wolves to playing Eldar, definitely a bit of a change up. So all I remember in 5th edition,
I bet you started winning then, didn't you?
No, I didn't. All I remember is trying to draw with my Necrons and getting my butt kicked every week with my Eldar. That's all I can remember in 5th edition. And of course, it was all about the parking lot, wasn't it then? My buddy had Blood Angels, and it was all vehicles.
Yeah.
So 5th edition for me was when I just started to get into a bit more of a competitive side of the thing, because I was trying to learn my armies and stuff. So obviously, I've said it in the previous podcast that I did, 4th edition, I think one of my favourites, just down to the fact that it was before I knew anything about tactics and competitive play. I just put down my models and played the game, and I've had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so talking about 10th edition then, what would you change to 10th edition to make it a bit more user-friendly, let's say, for casual play? Because I think it's pretty clear that 10th edition obviously is aimed a lot towards competitive environments. How do you think they could inject something for casual play?
The first thing I'd say is leave it alone. For the love of God, just leave it alone. Let it breathe. We do not need constant updates and tweaks. And I'm not even saying whether the updates or tweaks are good or bad. Some things that get changed work in my favour, or I think I like that change. That's a good change. I still don't want it because it's a change. Just leave it alone, please. It's just too much. Now, if something's properly broken, they always used to do that. They used to fix things, and that. Or sometimes they would leave stuff broken fully, but it's just the constant changing. Even the way the wording's written on some of the rules as well would be the next thing. It's written from a competitive standpoint because they're trying to stop the sort of that guy, that guy that will try and bend and twist every little rule and thing to their advantage to try and be gamey as hell. And so they've written these really wordy paragraphs under every rule, and you're like, just say it gives you +1 to hit. This will give you a plus thing, and maybe a little lore paragraph of this weapon fires big overheated plasma or something, so gives devastating wounds. Cool. I don't mind that, but when it's like, do this, I can't even think up an example off the top of my head, but there are many. You only have to open almost any page of a rulebook to see just overly wordy rules. And the mission structure, I've not been a fan of the mission structure through 9th and 10th edition. I just think it's far too bookkeepery. It's far too you're playing the rules, not the game, and it's like the general vibe over the whole thing. Really, it's too complex. It's too complex, and it's not. It stops it being fun. There's lots of little fiddly rules, like when you take a unit into combat. And you charge in. I'm not even aware of what the rules are, if I'm honest with you. But you're supposed to move in a very specific. They have to move directly towards a miniature, and it's all to stop the really competitive players doing these beardy things.
Yeah.
But actually, when you play casually, that's irrelevant. Charge in, and me and my regular opponents, we charge in, and we just go, yeah, move them all in. Yeah, move them all in. We're breaking the rules. We don't care. We're just like, yeah. We could stand here for 10 minutes and debate whether that miniature should be half an inch further back, or at that point, we're all just, our souls are dying slowly, and it's not fun anymore. And we're not telling a story. We're looking at rule books and diagrams and charts, and it's just no. Let's just get them Marines charging into them Necrons and, swinging chainswords, and let's roll some dice and see what happens. Let's not spend 10 minutes discussing whether that miniature should have moved slightly round that way, because technically that's not right. Oh God, I just kill me now.
Yeah, I think there's no argument for saying that 10th edition is definitely probably the most balanced and even that it's ever been.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
From a competitive point of view, I'm sure it must be fantastic, fantastic edition. I personally struggle a bit with the terrain rules, and that the main reason for that is my terrain is all old school stuff. Unless you've got the dedicated current boards with the buildings on and the shelves and stuff. I played Planet 40k recently. We played the evening before our big game, and I did a battle report on that. And my terrain is just not 10th edition friendly, So Planet was trying to work out how the terrain works. So we weren't playing exactly 10th edition terrain rules, which I find it's hard to work with if you haven't got the correct terrain. So I just say it's obscuring. If if you're standing in it, then you get cover save. If you're shooting over it, you get cover save.
I say we just agree before game what the rules are. I think, but I remember an example actually from a battle report me and you had actually. I think our most recent one, and there was a bit of terrain, and you played the rule correctly. So this is not a you did the correct thing in the current rules, but you were touching the base of the terrain, so you were on it, and you were like, right, this unit's shooting over here, and I'm like, well, they can't, because they're touching the terrain, so they basically count as in it. I hate that so much. It's so immersion breaking. I'm like, but I can see they're not on it, they're behind the wall.
That was 9th edition.
Oh, it might have been a 9th edition.
Yeah, when you touch the terrain. So now you do have to be wholly within it.
Right.
I think the terrain rules are definitely better in 10th edition than they have been. And there's literally hardly any alpha strike things, where basically you both set up. Whoever goes first just destroys the other armies, which is what we've had in the past.
Yeah.
So the terrain rules are awesome for that. But I just find it difficult when I haven't got the correct type of terrain. And then when I look at my terrain box, I've got a lot of really cool looking craters and bunkers and stuff, which is really hard to get on the table. Back in 4th edition, most of the terrain was flat, wasn't it?
Yeah, you had a couple of hills, odd
over
ruin,
the
and
terrain,
some
you get
craters.
Cover saves, it was simpler, but then also, you could get annihilated first turn. So it must be really hard for Games Workshop, to be fair. But I think there is an easy fix for this. And I think it's done, whilst maybe you don't like the idea of cards, but I think they could bring out a non-competitive casual gaming card deck. A bit like the Only War card deck.
Yeah.
Where they can flip the game on its head for casual players with some form of new missions, special mission rules. Let's have an artificial gravity rule, whereas every time you move, you can only move half the distance, or there might be a card where you can move twice the distance to what you can normally move. Just fun, random stuff.
Yeah.
That would make the games totally not competitive, but still using the 10th edition rules. That would be my solution.
Yeah, that's a good solution, and it's like the old 8th edition Maelstrom missions were good as well, where it would randomise each turn, and sometimes you'd have them secret from your opponent. That was always good to have. So you try to figure out what they were going for. That things like that are great, because it can especially if you've got an army that's maybe not as strong as your opponents, but when the missions keep randomizing and changing, it can really throw them, and it gives you a chance to still win, even though you may be the weaker army tactically. You know, and a bit of luck involved as well, and that can always be good fun. But I think they've attempted it before. Was it 8th edition or 9th? It had 3 ways to play. You had like your competitive, narrative, and open play. Which open play for me, I just felt was the most ridiculous concept ever.
I played it once. I did it. Funny enough, it was one of my subscribers. We did 3,000 points, and we had like an open play game, and it was fantastic. I took all 60 flayed ones. I took 3 units of wraiths, 3 units of scarabs. It was a lot of fun, but definitely not balanced.
No,
because you can take anything, can't you? So my wraiths had like every single gun in the book.
It was kind of a weird thing, because open play still exists, and it always existed. Because you can do whatever you want. You don't need a whole section of a rule book to say pages and pages of just do what you want. Just do what you want. Because that's effectively what it was. I'm like, this is a complete waste of time. And there's also a mistaken thing that people, or Games Workshop at least, seem to think that because you don't want to play competitive, you want to play some kind of dumbed down version of the rules. And that's not the case. It's not the case that people want. You still want the depth. You still want some crunchy stuff to get into. You still want to, be able to do that. You just don't want to have to keep up with constant updates. My solution would be that you release the next edition or the rules, and it's the rules. That's it. It's just set. And then you, like they used to do, you release optional expansions: City Fight, Apocalypse, Combat Patrol. And there were other ones as well, and they were optional. They added extra layers, like you've got in City Fight, you've got all these extra stratagems like sewer rats and sabotage and all these different things and preliminary bombardments and stuff. But they were there if you wanted them. They weren't there if you didn't need them. You could just play vanilla 40k. And then it was actually Dredd, first time he actually did come up with this idea, that he said, like, just do a tournament pack. So there are updates and expansions and changes, but that's just for tournaments. It's not for the general game. It's a tournament pack. So it's separate. So rest of you just playing in the clubs, playing with your friends, don't worry about it. This
is where what you were talking about earlier is, obviously all the top YouTubers are going to make videos about that tournament pack, and then everybody's going to want to play those rules at home.
This is true. Yeah, this is true.
Okay, so I've got another question for you, probably the last one now. Is there a person or a game type that you would like to play? So basically, like famous YouTuber, maybe somebody that you'd love to play a game with, or maybe a game type that you would like to play but you haven't played yet.
For a famous YouTuber that I would like to play would be the Bard from Bardic Broadcasts, who if you haven't seen it, Nick, I'll send you a link after this video and you can thank me afterwards. It's his cracking unboxing of Hero Quest, it's just great. He's hilarious. And I think a game playing against him or with him in anything, just to play Dungeons and Dragons with him or whatever, or Hero Quest, would be incredible. So yeah, I shall have to send you a link to that video.
Okay,
You'll enjoy it. It's very fun. Games, yes. There's been games types I've wanted to play for a long time. I would love to combine game elements. Like, I remember when the Necron Codex first came out, they did a really cool battle report in White Dwarf, and I know you'll remember this one, Nick, where there was 2 games going on simultaneously. One on the planet's surface, with I think it was Imperial Guard against Necrons. I think it was like the Talon Desert Raiders against Necrons. And then down in the Tomb Complex, they played a skirmish game of a Death Watch kill team going in to plant detonators within the tomb world to destroy it, and they were being attacked by like tomb spiders and scarabs and things, and Necron warriors were awakening, and any Necron warrior killed in the tomb would then teleport, and in the following turn appear on the battlefield, added to the units as they were teleporting. And I'm like, that that'd be brilliant fun to do. Like maybe next time we do a doubles game, we do something like that, and we have two simultaneous games, and we have the events coinciding with each other, or things like combining it with Battlefleet Gothic, ships.
That is something I've always wanted to do, like a game in space first with a planet nearby, and then whatever happens in that game, you go to the planet and you can
definitely. Yeah, definitely. Things like that would be great fun. I love that sort of. I always think of Return of the Jedi. You've obviously got the main space battle going on, but then down on Endor, you've got them trying to bring down the shields, and they're coinciding with each other. So I think any kind of to do a big game and then a skirmish game off to the side, where what happens in that will have impacts on the larger battlefield. And I'd love to get into linked things like that and little mini campaigns and stuff, and really tell stories and do fun things, and really because that's what gets me excited. That would float my boat a lot more than just going spring to lists and see who wins.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's all about fun. Excellent. It's been fantastic talking to you, Steve-O. Thanks for that.
You're welcome. And look, I'm using the new mug.
You are. I've got myself one actually, because I thought it was pretty cool.
It is cool.
So there's a link to Steve-O's channel, of course, in the description below. Make sure you head on over to his channel and give him a sub. Thanks so much, Steve-O. And I'm sure we will do this again, and I'm sure we'll be battling it out on the table very shortly.
Oh, you can be sure of that. We're definitely going to battle it out again. You've got too many wins over me lately.
I'll leave you on that one.
Oh, well, this is 6+ Steve-O signing out.